And good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner. My name's Ralph Williams, in case you're not aware. Coming up tonight, we have a lot to talk about, and we'll talk about baseball later on. Big major announcement there. As you know, we always start off with the Steelers, and that's exactly what we're going to do tonight as well. You can chat here on this live stream here on YouTube. I welcome new watchers to the program, new audience. It's great to know. Last night was a great night. We had the Year in Sports Review on PCTV Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon here in Allegheny County and in the surrounding area as well. Excuse me. Wow. And as I mentioned, Channel 21, Comcast, Channel 47, Verizon this Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. Myself and my new co-host on my TV edition of Sports Corner will be Smoking Jim Frazier. And we have a lot to talk about there as well, as we do every time we do Sports Corner. My guest on the way I see it by Zoom on Thursday is going to be Bill Cannata. He's a local PBA bowler. And we're going to talk about the local bowling scene and what he is up to as far as tournaments and bowling, and get a little update on some things in the bowling world in Pittsburgh. Also, don't forget about tomorrow or Wednesday, every Wednesday, 4 p.m., I have Mauler Talk. Well, guess what? Tomorrow might be the last Mauler Talk because I have a juicy nugget, but I'll tell you tomorrow, tune in at 4 o'clock as to why tomorrow might be the last show for Mauler Talk for a while. And I'm going to tell you tomorrow, but you have to tune in at 4 o'clock right here on YouTube Live, myself here for Mauler Talk. All right. As you know, I always try to work to get a guest on, but I had some issues tonight because of the Pitt Duke game at the Peterson Event Center. And so therefore, I had some issues trying to get somebody on here to talk about some things. It's a busy night tonight. I have a busy week Friday. Don't forget 4 p.m. The way I see it, we have lots to talk about there as well. And Thursday on PCTV, their Facebook page, I will be live at 4:15. Between there and 4:30, I'll be live with Bill Cannata. And the way I see it, we have Blast Chinese Wisdom, and we have something new that we're going to start. I started it on my Facebook version on Sundays, and it's called Bonehead, which means I have a boneheaded move that somebody made, and they're going to get exposed for boneheadedness, which of course is crazy, of course, but All right, anyway, let's talk about the Steelers. Kevin Colbert had a press conference today. He mentioned the fact that Stephon Tuitt's going to be back. He's looking to work his way back into everything. Steelers need Stephon Tuitt because they were short all this past season due to the injuries of Aluwalu, all right, who happens to be our nose tackle. Well, it turns out that he was injured this year, and we could have used Tuitt. Tuitt was hurt, but at the same time, his brother got shot, and so therefore he was off grieving, and he spent most of the season doing that. So he claims he's back. He's ready to go. The Steelers say he's ready to go, so he will be back, according to Kevin Colbert. Many questions were asked, as they have been lately, in regards to the quarterback situation. As you know, Ben Roethlisberger has retired, and so therefore now they're gonna the media here in this town. I disinclude myself to this because I refuse to go there and ask the same question over and over again. If I go to a press conference, whether it's Mike Tomlin's or Kevin Colbert's down the road or whatever, I don't go to them now. But let's say if I do decide to start going to these press conferences, okay, I would probably ask tough questions. And I always did that in the past when I had my last sports shows, both on radio and on PCTV back in the 90s. Okay, I would go to the Bill Cowher press conference. I would go to the Walt Harris press conference, and I would ask tough questions. And if I didn't have a tough question to ask, would not ask a question. I would just sit there and talk with other colleagues about different things. All right. So that's how I would do things. So they kept asking about Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph. The interesting part here is Josh Dobbs hasn't even come up in a conversation at all. I think everybody has forgot about him. But I tell you this, Josh Dobbs is a smart quarterback. Okay. Josh Dobbs is no dummy. All right. And I wanted to say that because that's the way it's the truth. He's a smart guy. He's got engineering degrees. He sits on the sidelines right now because he's hurt. He has turf toe. And, I've said this numerous times. I'll say it again. When you have turf toe, all right, it can take you out for the season. It did it to Jack Lambert. It can do it to anybody. Or it's going to take you out for several games. But anyway, I've said that many times, and a lot of people think I'm crazy because I'm really not a doctor. All I know is from, what I've seen in the past. And it cost Jack Lambert his career, and it cost a few other athletes their careers because of turf toe. Turf toe is something you don't mess with, all right? And I don't choose to mess with turf toe. So that's one of the reasons why I say this, and that is that turf toe is something that's not great. And for Josh Dobbs, he's still hurt and he's not even been talked about. But today, I've been told that the Steelers are looking at 3 quarterbacks for free agent quarterbacks, which is great. They're looking at Mitch Trubisky, Jameson Winston, and Teddy Bridgewater. All right. Winston, we'll see. Bridgewater, we'll see. Trubisky, yes. Okay. Any of the 3 of them really would be serviceable for this year. And if we do get a quarterback in the first round, there could be some casualties. One of them being Josh Dobbs. One of them being maybe Dwayne Haskins. One of them maybe being Mason Rudolph. Okay. I can't say that. All right. But right now, the 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks, 4 quarterbacks that the Steelers are looking at right now, they're looking at Malik Willis. They're looking at Kenny Pickett. They're looking at Sam Howell from North Carolina, I'm told. And they're looking for that Benner kid from Cincinnati now. And I thought he had a good senior bowl. So I thought, well, maybe, the Steelers are really going to go and they're really going to do that. And that's good. I hope they do. They go out and they get that kid and bring him here. All right. They're not going to trade up and they're not going to trade down. All right. The Steelers have to look at both lines of scrimmage, both defense and offense. They can't sit there and just keep drafting regular players. Now, I said last night on the Year in Sports Review on PCTV, it was myself, Claudia Rosano, Luther Dupree, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Alan Levine, the talking machine. And we all had a debate on this on the Year in Sports Review last night as to what quarterback would the Steelers take or who they want to take. Okay. All right. I got somebody here, Aaron Kurds, Santa Cole, and I don't understand nothing he says. All he says is FYI. So he seems to post a comment all the time, but I don't understand what he's saying. So there we are there. So that's one comment tonight. I'm hoping to get some more. Put your comments in the comment box. Do not hesitate. Right here on YouTube. I'm live from Studio 808 up here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. And so on and so forth. Wow. Excuse me. Wow. All right. Anyway, I want to talk about something that's very interesting with the Steelers right now. And an article about Heinz Field was posted by Anthony DeFilo. Okay. And I made a last minute attempt tonight to try to get Anthony on with me, but he never got back to me, and I don't think he's going to be able to get on with me anyway. He's probably another one that's going to be at the Pitt game tonight, which starts at 8:00. They play Duke. He did an article in Pittsburgh Sports Now about Heinz Field. It seems like some of our media people in this town have started conversations about Heinz Field being a dump. Some people who are listeners to this entity, these media entities, have decided they're going to call and place their opinion about Heinz Field, which of course you can do that here too. Do you like Heinz Field? Now, everybody should have known better when Heinz Field was built. Okay. Steelers have the cheapest stadium in all of the new stadiums that were once built in 2001. Okay. They only spent 200 and some $1 million on this stadium. Most stadiums they spend close to $1 billion, and some of them are real nice. They got nice luxury boxes, things like that. Well, apparently people are not satisfied with Heinz Field. Heinz Field's 21 years old. Okay. And now it turns out that some of these stadiums are going bye-byes. Every time in the 21-year history of their field, they seem like they're going away. And that's a little too soon, I think. But you know something? It could happen. All right. But I don't think, and this is my opinion now, and I've lived in this town my whole life. It's my opinion that I don't think Heinz Field's going anywhere for a while. Because A, I don't think the Steelers will spend the money for it. And B, I don't think the taxpayers are going to want to put up with it. Okay. That's the interesting part. We had issues back in 1995 when they introduced bringing in a new stadium for the Steelers, and everybody went ballistic. Oh, I don't want to pay for that tax. No, I don't want to be doing that. No. Oh, no, 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 no. I can't pay for that. Okay. They voted it down on a referendum. So what happened was the city did it anyways to please the Steelers. All right. So the Regional Asset District Board, they're called RAD, decided to let them build Heinz Field and let PNC Park get built with money from some taxes. And they floated some bonds, and you know how that works. All right. With today's economy right now and the inflation and the way it is, I don't think the people of this town would want another stadium. Although I agree that Heinz Field is a little bit of a dump. It's clean. It's not an easy place to get around. That's number two. I know I worked there at one time. All right. 2 different times I worked there. All right. I'm not going to tell you what I did, but I worked there. And you can get lost easy at Heinz Field. It has some nice things in the Great Hall and places like that. But Heinz Field is really kind of a dump. It's a nice place to watch a game because the sight lines are nice. All right. The only thing is, I'm handicapped and I have to use a handicap stall to go to the bathroom. But if I had to pee, I have to pee in a trough. And there's one urinal in every bathroom. Okay. A lot of people when Heinz Field was first built didn't enjoy that at all. And I don't enjoy being stuffed in the seat when a crowd is there, stuffed against somebody elbow to elbow. I don't like that either. Okay. But I don't have to now because I sit in the handicap section and I'm not elbow to elbow with people, which is great for me. But if you're a regular person, it's no wonder people get up and go into the back and they stand back there and watch things on the screen. They don't want to be in a narrow row, there at Heinz Field at all. How do I know this? I worked at Heinz Field. I know what it is. Okay. I want your comments tonight. Post them here. We're live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Sports Corner with Ralph Williams. We're here every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. I appreciate the views as well. I know some of you can't be here tonight, but you view it otherwise. That's great. And I welcome your views and I welcome your comments as well. So post them right here tonight. I'll read them off. It's just like calling in on a call-in show. Only difference is you're putting it on the comments section. What do you think? Do you think Heinz Field is a relic? Do you think Heinz Field is a dump? Okay. The elevators break down there. All right. The escalators don't work right. Okay. So there's problems with Heinz Field. There's probably problems with everywhere. Even reporters, media people have even said it doesn't meet the needs or it doesn't meet the fields of other NFL teams whose names and fields I'm not going to mention right here on this program. Okay. But there are a bunch of other stadiums that are better off than we are. And the interesting thing here, too, Art Rooney II was trying to get the Super Bowl here. With that dump? No way. And we don't have enough there to put people in there for the Super Bowl. When it was first built, it was built for 66,000 people. Art Rooney II and Dan Rooney were told when that stadium was built, you need to build something huge for 100,000 people because you can fill it. Well, he decided, I guess as a smart businessman would do, to only make it for 66,000. Then they added seats because they had to. Now it seats up to 70,000. And there's all kinds of extra seating now in some nice spots. I'm telling you right now, I've been to Heinz Field. I've been there as a consumer, and I've worked there twice. It's not a bad place to watch a game. There's not a bad spot in the entire place. But the problem I'm having is that it is a dump and it can look like a dump. All right. You got to walk up all those aisles like that or walk up those ramps if you have to walk. I don't. I use a motorized scooter. All right. Paul Alexander was on. I'm trying to get him on my programs, and of course, I get the same old stuff from everybody. I can't be there. Oh, I'm busy. I know. I know what you're saying. I'm the new guy here, and you know, no, but there's 200 podcasts here. So why do you need to watch mine? You know why? Because I tell it like it is, and I tell it the way I see it. That's why I have a show called The Way I See It. Okay. I know I missed the podcast train. I should have probably been here a long time ago, but I'm here now. Okay. Why wouldn't you watch my show? Is there something with me that's different than everybody else? Or is it that maybe you like that person? Maybe you want a little bit of variety, so you switch around, you see people like me. What, I don't have graphics behind me? I'm doing like the Rooneys. Simple, cheap. Yeah. Okay. That's what I do here. This equipment didn't cost me a lot of money. You see what I'm saying? You see the point I'm trying to make? Okay. Even though I have a podcast going on here, I still go down to the TV station and take podcast classes. And I do that because maybe someday I might decide I like to go down to the studio at PCTV and use their equipment rather than mine. Maybe their equipment's better. Maybe they have a better way of doing things. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that Heinz Field can be considered a dump. And then you have these Pitt fans, and I'll talk about Pitt later, but right now, you got these Pitt people that are still sore with Pitt because they play at Heinz Field. Well, why couldn't we build a facility somewhere close to the university? Where are you going to park your car? Oakland is bad for parking. They could have put it down on Second Avenue. There was a plan to put it down by the Hot Metal Bridge. But instead, they decided to do something else with that stuff down there, with that land. And they have. And it's close to the river. All right. Remember, Cleveland had a stadium and it was called the Mistake on the Lake. All right. Okay. Let's take a look at where we go in the draft, in my opinion. Now, if the Steelers decide to do quarterback, let's say Pickett falls to them, Malik Willis, Sam Howell, the kid from Cincinnati, if one of them falls to them in the first round, okay, I think they probably have 3 picked out right now. I know Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. If they fall to the Steelers, the second round, they should take Daniel Falele. And he's from Minnesota. I watched him in the Senior Bowl. He's not going to be a first. I don't think he's going to be a first round pick. All of the quote draft experts have him in the second round. But if I'm the Steelers and he's available, I would take him in the first round if they can't get what they want otherwise. This guy weighs 380 pounds and he's almost 7 feet tall. He's about 6'9". Okay. I watched him. He's a wall. Nobody can get around him. Okay. He's a good he's a good physical player. He don't just stand there, but he's a good physical player. His pass blocking is great. His pulling, I watched him move for a running play. Okay, in the Senior Bowl. I'm not an NFL scout and I'm not a draft expert. All I am is a talk show host that hosts podcasts and have my own talk shows. But my opinion is, and that's why we're here, is for me to give my opinion, that I think they should look at this kid. There was also Trevor Penner, offensive lineman from Northern Iowa, 6'5.5", 330. Small college kid. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but I'll tell you this. He's available when the Steelers pick. Why not? We have to stack the offensive line and the defensive line. We are hurting in that department. The line of scrimmage is terrible. Somebody has to do something, okay? Ding, ding, ding. Wake up, ding, ding, ding. Somebody has to do something, all right? It's that simple. The Steelers have to address those issues with the lines. They need to get some defensive linemen, some offensive linemen, a linebacker. They got to get a free agent maybe to replace Joe Hayden. They got to sign Minkah Fitzpatrick. All right. They brought in Brian Flores to help out. They got Pat Meyer on the offensive line. He quoted saying today, we're going back to basics and getting physical. So there you are. And when I was with my media colleagues last night for this Year in Sports Review, they were talking about how this new offensive line coach is supposed to be pretty decent. Although he had a couple bad lines in Carolina, but we all know about Matt Rule. Okay. And the Steelers, we talked about the schedule a little bit. They're playing the NFC South and they're playing the AFC West or the AFC South as well. Okay. And the schedule looks pretty favorable for the Steelers this year. And they can run the Matt Canada offense with whomever's at quarterback. All right. He's got one more year, Matt Canada. If he fails this year, I think he's getting fired. And I hate to see that because he's a good guy, just stuck in the wrong place. Just didn't have the talent last year to run the offense he wants to run. I also said last night on the show, because I was trying to be careful so we could get some topics in, and it wasn't really a lot of time. We only had an hour. And if you know Alan Levine, the talking machine, he really can talk. And so, well, so can I, but I mean, at least I can stop a little bit or know when to stop. But Al, I love Al. Al's a great guy, Alan Levine. But that's why it's called the talking machine. All right. But anyhow, anyway, here is what I'm saying. They all said the same thing that was on the panel with me last night. That the Steelers need to get a kick returner. I said they need to get somebody in here. I don't care if it's a free agent. And I hope it's not somebody like a Ryan Switzer that just does this all the time. All right. I've been saying that for a long time now. They really need to do that. It's really sad that this is what happens. But this is the way it is with the Steelers. All right. They need to get good field position. In order to do that, you have to have a dangerous kick returner. There's probably a bunch of them in college. There always is. All right. And that's it for tonight for the Steelers. I have some other topics we're going to talk about tonight. Bunch of stuff here. You're watching Sports Corner with me, Ralph Williams. All right, let's get into baseball. Derek Jeter steps down as the CEO of the Marlins. Surprise there. And it was announced tonight that opening day has been officially canceled. They can't seem to work nothing out here with this lockout. The owners and the team and the players union have met considerably, and they still can't iron anything out. They couldn't iron anything out in time yesterday to be able to start up the season. So it looks like the season's going to be delayed, which of course is sad for everyone who's a baseball fan, whether you like the Pirates or not, or however you think you want to do things, but that's what it is. So here we are. All right. High school stuff. Steve Scalullo takes over the football program on Hampton High School, Hampton area. Congrats to wrestling coach Rudy Nesbitt. He was voted wrestling coach of the year by the Pittsburgh Public Schools. Great for Rudy. Congratulations on him. And congrats on Steve Scioli taking over at Hampton. And John LaDawn is the new head coach at Pine Richland. And you all know, and if you don't, you all know what I feel about what happened to Coach K, Eric Kasparovich. Pine Richland, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. You need to put bags over your faces, all the school board and the administration, or resign. Or I hope some people out there have a brain that understands what happened to Coach K was wrong and vote out some of these board members. I know some of them did get voted out in the last election. Okay. I know that to be true. But anyway, Penn Hill School District, they hired Charles Morris, former alum, to be their new head coach to replace John LaDawn, who went to Pine Richland. The Penguins are going back to their throwback uniforms. They used to wear blue, and then somebody came up with the idea that why are they wearing blue and everybody else is wearing black and gold? So the Penguins decided to switch to a black and gold model. And so that's what's going on there. Also, Mike Matheson is injured. He's got an upper body injury. Mike Sullivan said he don't know when he'll be back. He's week to week due to the upper body injury. Also, we have Mark Friedman was brought up as a defenseman. He's been doing pretty well for the Pens as far as a defenseman goes. They won 1-0. Casey D. Smith was in goal, and he had a good game, which is great for him. He needs to start having some great games because if we're going to make it in the playoffs, which, we talked about that last night as well. Some people think we're only going to get to the first round. Some people think we're going to make it to the second round. I think that Ron Hextall needs to make a couple moves in the trade deadline so we can get into the playoffs and win in the playoffs. I don't mean drastic moves. That's too short a time to do that. You need a lot of time to do drastic moves. But what you could do is you could make the trade to involve some players, as I said, that'll help you short term. Okay? Even if they don't go back, or even if they don't come back next season, at least you have a short term and you can win with these players. They start a Florida road trip. Tonight they're playing Tampa Bay Lightning. So a lot going on tonight in Pittsburgh sports. You have the Pete tonight with the Duke game, with Pitt playing Duke tonight, which also is a great thing as well. All right, let's talk about Pitt football for a minute here. They started spring camp yesterday. They have this new kid, Clinton Slovic, who has come in as a transfer. And you also have, I'm sorry, his name's Keaton Slovic. I'm sorry. Thought it was Clinton. And Nick Patty are going to be the ones competing for the starting job, as announced today. And the Pitt spring game is April 9th, and it's brought to you, presented by PNC. So guess what? Did you hear the latest for the spring game? They have torn the walls out of PNC or out of Heinz Field. Okay, they put windows in there in the bathrooms. You know why? So you could pee and see and watch Pitt have to play catch up. Oh my. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, exactly. Ah, oh my. Oh, I'm a jokester and a half. 2023 committed players Zion Fowler has been ranked a 4-star recruit by 3 Sports website. That's great to hear on that one as well. So we'll see what Pitt does this year. They also have added Avonworth um, walk-on transfer Trevor Faulkner is going to be playing for Pitt. That's great. You know, last night Smoking Jim Frazier, who's my co-host on, we'll be on together on Thursday, this Thursday, March 3rd, 6 p.m. live call-in show, PCTV channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon cable, and we're going to be on live at 6 o'clock. We're going to be taking your phone calls. And the interesting part about all this is that Smoking Jim said something very interesting. Al Levine agreed with them, and so did Claudia Rosano, because we were all on the same panel together. Luther Dupree, we were all there together. Okay, why hasn't Pitt dug into the local scene of high school football? You know, not my fault. Walt Harris, and I remember those days too when Smoking Jim even said this. Okay, was he never really went and recruited locally. He didn't. But Dave Wannstedt did. He recruited heavily. He was at games all the time, they said. A lot of people told me that. And he had to take back a fractured relationship with Erie Cathedral Prep, okay, and Erie McDowell. They said Walt Harris would never go and actually come to a game and see any of the players there. Okay. All right. Now, Pat Narduzzi there's some players that play from Westinghouse and some local players on the team. Jordan Whitehead from, he's on the team. He was local. They've had a lot of local players over the years, but not maybe as much as they probably should. I think that they probably need to get a few more players and start really recruiting from this area. And as Smoking Jim says, it makes common sense because right now they only draw 35 to 40,000 fans a game. If they're lucky, they get that. So what I'm saying to you is this: if you recruit locally, what'll happen is all the local families will all come. They'll call their grandfather, they'll call their Uncle Harry or cousin Steve or whoever and say, "Come on, let's go to the game. Look who's playing. Look who's on the team." You know, when I worked there were families for all the locals that were there to cheer and root on. So that's how you draw your fans here in Pittsburgh. You recruit locally. And please, Pat Narduzzi, don't tell me the athletes aren't there. And we've been the pipeline for a lot of colleges over the many years. And we still are. Okay. We still have some of that, what they say, recruits top-notch recruits that can play and play well and have helped other teams in Pitt as well. All right. What do you think? I want to hear your comments tonight about the Pitt football program. Do you think they have a chance of winning the ACC again? I think they do, because I don't think anybody else. There's a lot of teams that are playing this year that got new coaches, including Miami. All right. Western Michigan, they should never lost that game. We have to go there this year. All right. And from what I find out, Western Michigan, and I find this out from Luther Dupree, 90% of their team is from Western Pennsylvania. Guys that have something to prove to Pitt because Pitt wouldn't recruit them. Isn't that nice, huh? Thanks, Pitt. Then Western Michigan came to play and they beat you. That game you should have never lost. Should have lost to Peach Bowl either. But I think Pitt's going to have another good year. They have two reasonable quarterbacks competing against each other. So we'll see how that works out. Pitt basketball tonight, as I mentioned earlier, they're playing Duke. Number 7, Duke. Coach K's last game here at the Pete. Very last game at the Peterson Event Center. Mike Krzyzewski's been a coach forever down at Duke. I know Durham's not a happy town right now because of it. Coach K's probably a legend there. But like I said, that's what's going on with Pitt right now. Now, people are talking about a Jeff Capel buyout. Okay, I know he's had some bad years, a lot of bad years, okay? He hasn't really met the expectations of the alum and the student body. Administration still thinks he's okay. Heather Light gave him a vote of confidence, at least for one more season. So Jeff Capel has one more year probably to make hay with this team. All right. He's trying. The transfer portal's not helping him, and it's not helping Duquesne or Robert Morris. College basketball in Pittsburgh is low. It's low in the snow. All right. I mean, I'm serious. It's really low. It's at a low point right now. Duquesne has a brand new facility stinking up the joint. Robert Morris just opened their facility a few years ago, stinking up the joint there too. And I'm really surprised at Andy Toole. But this is what I'm told. It's the transfer portal. It works for some and don't work for others. There's good and there's bad. Everybody's probably getting burned with that. So maybe college football needs to take a look at this again, which could be a possibility as far as that goes as well. All right, another sports news. Let's take a look at college football. Grambling State coach Hugh Jackson taking some heat from some of the alum, like Doug Williams. He's been criticizing Hugh Jackson for hiring Art Browse, the former Baylor coach. Now, Art Browse, from what I'm up to the understanding, was involved in some kind of a situation where he had something to do with women, something to do, some kind of sex scandal or something like that down there. And so therefore, that's the issue with him right now. And he couldn't get a head coaching job. In fact, he stayed away for a while. And you have to do that once you still have a contract with your team. And that's what he was doing anyway. So Art Browse, which I'm happy to say, finally got a job with the Grambling State. And you know what? Hugh Jackson, as a professional, was putting it out there. And I don't blame him for that. All right, let's get back into high school football a little bit. And also, let's get back. Actually, in college, I'll tell you what. I want to tell you tonight, let's go over this tonight while we're here. The teams that have brand new coaches, the college teams. And we're going to start at the beginning here. I don't have them in alphabetical order, but we're going to talk about that right now. Because I've been trying to talk about that, but I haven't had enough time on some of my broadcasts. Grambling State, Hugh Jackson. How about LSU? Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. Is at LSU. Ed Ogeron stepped down. He was involved in a scandal where he was doing sex acts and recording them on video. USC, Lincoln Riley. I last year, towards the end of the year, I had Claudio Rosano on my show, my TV show. And we were talking about USC's coaching vacancy. And Claudio said this, and I agree with Claudio. USC needs to get a name to get their reputation back. They were looking at Jeff Fisher, former Titans coach, NFL coach. They were looking at Jack Del Rio, who's the defensive coordinator for Washington. They were looking at a couple different other names as well. All right. But they didn't hire nobody with a name. They hired Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley coached at Oklahoma. That's not a name. Get somebody who, at least Jack Del Rio, from what I understand, is an alum there. Get somebody that's an alum to coach the team. Somebody that knows the USC standards. Instead, they hired Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma. All right, Notre Dame bumped up Marcus Freeman. He was the defensive coordinator, and what they did was they bumped him up to be the coach. Next, Florida, Billy Napier. That's not a bad hire, I guess. But here's a good hire. Miami, look out. Mario Cristobal. And he hired Charlie Strong to be his assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. That's going to be a good team this year. With that kind of coaching, you know, Charlie Strong used to coach at Texas, Louisville, South Florida. Okay. Now he's still in Florida. He went to Miami. And can you imagine that pipeline down there? That's why Miami's always a tough team. But see, with Manny Diaz, they were not a tough team. And Miami thought Manny Diaz wasn't the right coach for them after he took over after Mark Richt stepped down and retired from coaching. Mark Richt was a good coach. So to bring back that kind of stuff, they went out and they paid money and got Mario Cristobal here from Oregon. You know, Oregon's not going to pay him a ton of money. But anyway, they can afford an ice cream cone, let alone try to afford to pay Mario Cristobal big money. So Miami flushed him away, and he's a Miami graduate too. All right, Oklahoma, Brent Venable is their coach there. All right, next Akron. Here's a name here, Joe Moorhead, formerly of Penn State. He was the offensive coordinator there, and he's been around. He's coached in a few different places. That's a good hire for Akron. We'll see what he does. Oregon, Dan Lanning, okay, is the coach now at Oregon. Washington, Kalen DeBoer. SMU, Rhett Lashley, not Brett, Rhett with an R. Rhett Lashley. Georgia Southern, Clay Helton. You know, he got fired from USC, and now he's down at Georgia Southern, and they always take these smaller jobs. Bobby Petrino was coaching some small school, and he just stepped away or got fired. Okay. And he's been involved in coaching for a long time, but look what happened to him. In his NFL career, he was terrible. Bobby Petrino. New Mexico State, Jerry Kill. You know, he's back. He used to coach Minnesota. Minnesota was great when he coached there. Jerry Hill. But you know what? He's there, Jerry Kill. He's now at New Mexico State, who used to be coached by Jerry Glanville. Remember him? UConn is coached by Jim Mora Jr. That's a good hire. Okay, but the question is Connecticut going to be ready? They're in that AAC conference, I believe, or they're in the MAC. They're in one of them two conferences. We'll see what Connecticut does. They've had some good coaches. Randy Edsall had 2 terms, but the second time he didn't do real well. First time he did really good. Okay. Paul Pasqualoni was there. Well, you know, it was at the time when he probably could have stepped away. He went back to the NFL. All right. He didn't do well there, Paul Pasqualoni. He did not. He was the head coach. They haven't had a good head coach in a while. It's great to see Jim Mora Jr. He didn't do too well down at UCLA. He was the broadcast analyst for a while. Duke hired Mike Elko. They were taking a look at Jason Garrett. That would have been a nice name hire, but I'm not sure what Jason Garrett's experience is in college. Okay, next, Virginia. Tony Elliott, former assistant under Dabo Swinney down in Clemson. We'll see what Virginia does with a new head coach. Washington State. Jake Bikert. Wow. TCU. Sonny Laris. All right. Some of these names, I don't even recognize some of these coaches, but that's okay, I guess. You know, Sonny Laris is their coach. Next, Colorado State. Jay Norvell. Mike Norvell's brother. You know, Mike Norvell's a coach at Florida State. He's not doing too good down there. He was once the co-offensive coordinator here at Pitt under Fraud Graham. He also was the head coach at Memphis. UMass, Don Brown. Wow. UMass. Sound familiar? Mark Whipple. Yeah. I had a lot to say last night about Mark Whipple. I'm not happy with him. I don't like what he did to Pitt. I don't like how he left us hang for the Peach Bowl. You know, Mark, if you wanted to leave somebody hang, at least you could have came to to the Peach Bowl and at least coach that, even though Kenny Pickett wasn't going to play, but you still could have came and at least coached that game and then go bye-byes. No, instead you screwed the team. You leave after the championship, after you went and you recruited some guy, some quarterback, Purdy from Florida, and then you go and you take him out to Nebraska with you. And then you go and you coach at Nebraska and come up, like I said last night, with 600 excuses not to, why you were leaving. Mark, why don't you tell the truth and just tell us what was really going on? Because I got sources at Pitt and they told me you weren't getting along with Pat Narduzzi. And I hear Pat Narduzzi's difficult to work with if you're on the offensive staff. He's gone through a ton of offensive coordinators. They don't manage to stay. But we're going to see, because Pat Narduzzi hired Frank Cignetti Jr. Frank Cignetti's not going to take his job if that's what's going on. Okay? Frank Cignetti was once a head coach. He coached at Indiana University, IUP. He was the head coach there for a little while, or Cal U, or one of them little schools. Then he's been around the NFL. He was at Green Bay. Then he was offensive coordinator, and he helped Phil Jerkovic up at Boston College. All right. When he was here, he was the offensive coordinator under Dave Wannstedt, and he ran a power running game. Okay, play action. That's what Pitt needs this year. And I'm part of a group called the Pitt Fanatics. And it seems like every time I say something, they think otherwise. That's fine. They're allowed to. I don't care what they say. I say what I say. And that is Frank Cignetti Jr. runs a power running offense. They can't do that. We got great wide receivers. They can't do that. No. Not at all. No. No. We got these great wide receivers. Jordan Addison. You ever think that we need a running game, and we do? Our running game has been horrible. Horrible. Al Levine, the talking machine, who has a show that he's doing right now called Pittsburgh Sports Line. It's on Bethel Park TV. And he's there right now. And my co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier's on that show as well. Both of us have busy weeks this week when it comes to broadcasting and TV and everything. And don't forget Thursday night, Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631. You could call or dial up that number. You can listen to the show on your phone. And then later on, Mark Mancini and I will be on at 8 o'clock, and it's broadcasted nationally on Blog Talk Radio. It's called Black and Gold Sports Show with me and Mark Mancini. I'm getting a lot of great things about that show. Everybody loves it. Okay? Because I have managed to go national in a matter of short period of time. I just got back in the media at the end of around last year. Okay? Excuse me for a minute here. Sometimes I have to move around because of my handicap. Okay? And sometimes, I have to move around here and whatever. And I've done it on TV already and whatnot. But anyway, I got back into the media towards the end of last year, a little bit. I was on PCTV. Then I decided to expand my enterprise here of this. Okay? If you're a business out there, you want to advertise, reach out to me. You reach out to me on my Facebook page, Ralph Williams. If you want me to advertise your business on this show, I can do that. The rates are cheap. Also, you can reach me at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com is the email address. And don't forget, Thursday night, 8 p.m., Blog Talk Radio, myself, Mark Mancini, Black and Gold Sports Show. And that's on Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631. You can text your comments, and we will gladly put them on the air. Mark and I talk Pittsburgh sports. Mark is a former Pittsburgher who now is operating in Los Angeles, California. All right, next. The next new coach, Virginia Tech, Brent Fry, We'll see how he works out there. Uh, Fuente was the coach there. He got fired, and because Virginia Tech kind of was average this year. Last couple of years, they went like 6-6 or 6-5. Virginia Tech wasn't happy. They fired him. Bronco Mendenhall, he stepped down from Virginia, so that's how that happened. And Manny Diaz in Miami got fired. And then Duke's Bill Cutcliffe, he stepped down as well. He coached at Mississippi. He was Eli Manning's coach at Mississippi, and he didn't do too good at Duke. Duke's mostly a basketball school anyway, with Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski, and his team. All right. Also, speaking of Techs, how about Texas Tech? Joey McGuire is their new head coach. You know what school that Clint Kingsbury down there in Arizona at the Cardinals? He coached at Texas Tech. He wasn't a good coach. He was a good quarterbacks coach. He's very good at that. But I mean, he did pretty good this year. But you know something? He's on the bubble down there in Arizona. A lot of people don't know that, but he's on the bubble. He's walking on eggshells. The organization was not pleased with him this year because they had an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl again, and he blew it. They won those 11 games in a row, just like the Steelers, and then there was this late season collapse. They went down the toilet real fast. It was nice to see James Conner back. Larry Fitzgerald hasn't come back yet, and he doesn't even know if he's going to come back. There hasn't been anything said yet about that. He don't know what he wants to do. I will wish he would come here, but I'm living a pipe dream. I think I got a better chance of getting struck by lightning than Larry Fitzgerald coming to the Steelers. Something's going on down there. Kyler Murray is posting stuff saying he's unhappy with the organization. His contract's up, I think. Or he wants a raise or something to that effect. Something's going on down there with that. Arizona Cardinals, probably one of my favorite teams, at least they used to be. They had all the old Steeler coaches, and it was called Steeler West. They had all the former coaches from the Pittsburgh Steelers there. So why not? Right? All right, next. Speaking of, here, Florida International, formerly coached by Butch Davis. He was fired. Mike McIntyre is their new head coach down at Florida International. It's one of them little schools. That was one of the schools that Mario Cristobal coached at. Took them to bowl games. They won a conference title. Louisiana Tech. Speaking of that, Terry Bradshaw's old school. Sonny Cumble or something like that is their head coach. Temple. Stan Drayton is the new coach at Temple. Troy. Used to be known as Troy State, but they call themselves Troy now. John Summerall. You know who was from Troy? Dan Brown or Neil Brown, the coach down at West Virginia, and he did pretty good this year. Actually, he actually had a winning season. I think he was 6-5. They went to a bowl game. Yeah, they're not doing too bad. And speaking of Dana Hogerson, he's a former coach of West Virginia. He's down there in Houston, and he's not doing too bad down there. Well, that's because there's no casinos. I mean, he has to drive all the way to Mississippi to get to the casino. Because I was told he was a drunk, and he used to go to the casinos. A source told me he used to go to the casinos, and he would drink like a fish at the bar and get escorted out because he was too drunk. They said he was a big-time drunk, and it affected his coaching because towards the end of his tenure, he was terrible as a coach. West Virginia, his last season, they were 3-9. Okay? And he had some issues. Oliver Luck got fired, the athletic director, for hiring this guy. Bob Huggins is struggling down there in the basketball team this year. West Virginia's in a struggle. Penn State laid an egg this year. Okay? Well, on both ends of the spectrum. Duquesne isn't doing good in basketball. Robert Morris isn't doing good. Pitt's not. Everything in Western Pennsylvania, college-wise, is falling apart, including West Virginia, with some people, down there. Falling apart. I don't know what's going on this year. It's terrible. And I'm very angry at the fact that WPIAL decided to move the state football games from Hershey to Cumberland Valley. Now, what I want to know is what kind of a goofball made that change? Okay, because Hershey is a better place. Look, I would rather go to Hershey to see these games than Cumberland Valley, because at least in Hershey, I can tour the chocolate factory. I can go to the amusement park. I can attend other events if they're there at the time. Might be a concert there or something other than the high school football games. Okay. I would rather do that there than at Cumberland Valley. What does Cumberland Valley have to offer? Zero. Zero. I heard there's some museum there. That's it. Maybe I should look up Cumberland Valley, and the next show I should tell you exactly what Cumberland Valley is all about. That was ridiculous. Nevada, Coach Ken Wilson is their new coach. Louisiana, Michael Dozamasi. And those are your new college coaches this year. Congratulations to them. I hope they do well. All right. Also, high school football, especially in Pittsburgh and around this area here, what happened to Coach K out there in Pine Richland was a disgrace. Aliquippa. What is it with WPIA? I'll pick on Western Pennsylvania. The only good thing that came out of football this year, okay, was Bob Pelko winning the National Coach of the Year by the NFL, and he was at the Super Bowl. That's a great honor. He was number one in the country, number one high school football coach, Bob Pelko. It was great. It's great to see. Something happened this year. Western Pennsylvania's high school football has turned into a whole bunch of politics. Nothing but politics. And now you have people running up in the stands at a high school hockey game, going after people. You got fighting, you got taunting, you got all this other stuff going on. You have rowdy parents who can't keep their mouths shut. You got parents worrying about if their little Johnny is going to start. So if he don't start, they fire the coach. You know, Claudia Rosano told us a story last night on the sports year in review about how his buddy in Ohio was a high school coach, and he didn't play his little Johnny or little Stevie or little Ronnie, and he got pissed off. So he got so angry, he had the coach fired. All right? Yeah, got him fired. This is the politics now of high school sports. And it's the parents' fault, because the parents have to stay out of it. Just watch the game. Quit worrying about if your little Ronnie or your little Stevie or your little Johnny is going to play. Okay? My nephew, he played for one season with Baldwin High School. Okay? Baldwin was terrible last year, won 3 games. Got blown out by all the good teams, beat a couple sad teams. And they didn't win by much. They're terrible. But he got off the team because he had too much to do, and I understand, and I admire him for that. But you didn't see his father. You didn't see me. Oh, Sean's not. My nephew's not getting any playing time, and I want that. That's terrible. I don't have any playing time. You know what I mean? And then the shooting up there and everything else. Yeah. That's real awesome when that happens too, isn't it? It's terrible. It really is. It's really bad. Yeah, there we go. Wow. That's high school football, everybody. Nothing but politics. I'm Ralph Williams. Thank you for watching another edition of Sports Corner. Thank you, those one person who got involved who's writing I can't understand, but he says FYI, and that's it. And I don't know what else he tells me, because I can't understand because it's not in English. Okay? But everybody have a good night. See you next week right here, 7 o'clock live. It's Sports Corner. Me, Ralph Williams. Good night. Be safe.